Can you believe that he's been letting his hair grow out for 2 full years? Like, this is some luscious hair you got going on right now, bro. So what kind of haircut do you want today, though?
Just a taper.
Bro, that wasn't part of the deal, man. Like, no, like, the reason why you came today is because we're going to be cutting it off. Like, what we're going to do is we're going to section off the top hair away from the bottom here, because I don't want to completely get rid of all his curls, but we do want to go with a higher fade. The taper that we have going on right now, that's not cutting it anymore. We need something different. So of course, the first thing that we're doing is sectioning off the hair from the top and the bottom. Now, one thing about me is that I'm not used to working with this much hair. And that's the main reason why I want to do a fade, because I'm tired of trimming up his hair whenever I don't know how. So you know what? I'm gonna do what I know and what I do best, and that is doing fades. So I have the hair separated on top. Put the clip in right there like so. Fold this down like so. Hey, look at that. Hey, I'm kind of liking this hairstyle though. Like The Weeknd, huh? Heck yeah, I was trying to figure out who he looked like, but yeah, The Weeknd. Yeah, he's giving off Weeknd vibes right now. But anyways, look, on the side, whenever I sectioned off the hair, like I said, that's not really my specialty. So the fade comes out a little lopsided or the top comes up lopsided, that's not really my fault. You should have asked for something better. The main thing is that we have the hair out the way. So now I can use my new Babs Low Pro FX1 clipper and lift up the hair, begin at the bottom, digging in, and I'm instantly going to go ahead and debulk all this hair off. That way I can see exactly what I'm doing. All right, we're just debulking right now, right? We're debulking all the hair off. That way we can have a clear understanding of what we're working with and begin with the clear canvas. So I don't know if you saw that, but I like to call that the slice and dice method, which I would just put out the hair and I just dash right through it. But in order to really be able to get it closer, I am going to back in with the number 2. And now this time for sure, I'm going to be digging in at the bottom again, just sliding up and down. And this is initially going to begin the fading session for us. But now that I have the hair at the bottom debulked, I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the hair down, because we are going to be trimming the top off a lot. And I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for both him and me, because I don't want to keep him in here all night, and I don't want to stay in here all night. So, and that's exactly why we're just doing the debulking face, which means debulking the sides, and in this instance, the top. So on the top part, I still want to leave enough hair to where he can put up in a bun, but I also don't want this hair too long. So I'm just going to be allowing the hair to fall down naturally, and I'm going to cut about that much off. And hopefully, even though I cut this off, it can still go up in a bun. All right, see, now we got that debulked, and let's put it to the test. Let's see, can we still put in a bun? Oh yeah, for sure. We still got plenty of hair to go up in a bun. So for right now that I have the top and the bottom debulked, now it's going to be the time where I go back in and I really make sure that I create a nice straight line at the bottom, or a nice straight section, I should say. Now check out that section, check it out. For those of y'all that doubted my sectioning skills, there you go, we good. And like I said, I'm all about working efficient and making it as easy as possible for both the client and myself. That's why by debulking first, we took the hair out that we didn't need, didn't even bother sectioning it off first. We went ahead and debulked it. So that way, whenever I did go back in to create my section, it was a lot easier because I didn't have to go through all the curls or anything. We just, boom, right there. Now we can actually begin the fade. And essentially the fade that I think we're gonna go with him is a drop fade. And the reason why I say a drop fade is because I'm looking at 2 things right now. I'm looking at his C cup. He's got a very nice hairline for the C cup. And also his head shape. So I can tell his parietal ridge goes straight, but then it does curve down towards the back. In this instance, since his parietal ridge does drop down, I'm going to follow it up with my guideline and drop down with it, which is essentially a drop fade. So beginning with my Babyliss skeleton trimmer, I'm going to go ahead and begin right in the center of the C cup, or in other words, right at the corner of his eyebrow. And the reason I'm going off the corner of his eyebrow is because that way I'm really going to be able to keep the whole face symmetrical, because whenever I get to do the other side, I'm going to know exactly where to start at. Now, I know you might be worried that I'm going in with the trimmer in this angle to create my first line. A lot of people would recommend not to create that line, but I'm here to tell you, especially to any beginner out there watching this, is that don't be intimidated or scared to create your first guideline in this angle. The reason why a lot of people tell you not to create it like that is because it's going to create such a harsh line that you won't be able to take it out. But it's also going to create a harsh line that you know exactly where you're at within the fade, which is the most important thing you can do as a beginner. Because if you can understand where you're at within the fade, you can clearly see your lines. you're gonna have an understanding of where you need to place a fade at. And not to mention, the trimmer that I'm using right now is not zero gap, meaning the way that it came in the box is the way that I'm using it. I did not offset it, I didn't zero gap it, I didn't adjust the place to where they cut closer. Straight out the box, and which allows me to create a softer line versus a very defined line. But anyways, now that I have my first guideline set in, I'm gonna be switching to my Babyliss Custom FX clippers, and I'm gonna open up the lever all the way, which is essentially extending the top blade away from the bottom blade, which is gonna allow me to create a section above the first line that I created. So whenever I'm creating my sections, I do have the full blade sitting completely flat on the skin, and all I'm doing is just sliding up and down, making a section about a finger's width. In this instance, it's almost a half a finger's width. It's not the full finger because we're working with a smaller space to be able to create the fade. So using about a half a finger's width, I'm going to continue doing the same thing, just sliding up and down. Again, creating a nice defined line. Again, creating a nice defined line at the top that I'm going to be able to clearly see and know exactly where I'm at within the fade. Now, whenever it comes to the back, right by the ear, remember the parotid ridge starts to drop down. So I'm going to be taking my pinky to lower the ear down, still laying the clipper flat, but this time I'm only going to be using this much of the blade to really be able to create the curved shape around the ear. So essentially, whenever I have my clipper sitting down like this, I'm still going to have enough space to be able to place my comb right behind the blade on the opposite side. And that's really what's going to allow me to create the curved shape around. And now that I created that section with my custom Babyliss FX clippers, I'm going to be switching into the Babyliss Low Pro FX1 clippers. And throughout this video, I'm going to be switching up between this one and this one. The reason being is that this blade is a lot thicker than the one on the Low Pro FX1 clipper. So the way that I found that I like to use these two in a combination is that I really like to use a thicker blade to create my sections. Then I like to use a thinner blade, which is essentially going to be able to get a lot closer to the skin or sit a lot closer to the skin. So with this one having a thinner blade, it's going to make it a lot easier for it to really be able to dig in and take out the line that this created. So let's go ahead and switch into this with the lever about halfway closed. But now since I'm ready to start fading out the lines, I'm not going to be using the full blade anymore. I'm literally going to let it sit flat on the skin, but I'm going to be tilting out the whole time. Again, meaning that I'm going to have space to put my finger or a comb right behind the blade. That way I can work in a small designated area and just slide up and down. But remember, we're not going all the way to the top of the line anymore. I'm digging in at the bottom with the lever halfway closed, and I'm just going to go halfway up that section. And essentially what that's going to do is help us start creating gradiency within that section. And as soon as I get done using the lever halfway closed, I'm going to go ahead and close the lever all the way, let it sit down, and now I'm just going to be going about a 1/4 inch above the first initial guideline. So meaning I'm not going to be going halfway up the section no more. I'm going to be going about a 1/4 inch above the first line. And literally by doing those two little techniques, that first initial line is completely faded out. Also notice how I only worked in that one section. I didn't focus on the whole section all at once. My main concentration was working in this small little area. So now I'm going to keep repeating the same things, working in small sections, about a 1/2 inch wide, all throughout the side. That way I don't get overwhelmed. I'm able to use a corner of the blade to take my time and go halfway up that section, quickly closing the lever to start taking out the bottom line, and boom, right? That's fading out now too. And I'm going to continue doing the same thing throughout the whole section. So halfway open. Something else that I really want you to pay attention to is how I have my clipper angled in this direction. The reason I'm angled in this direction is because the hair growth naturally grows slanted like this. So it only makes sense for me to go in this direction to be able to cut against the grain. Because if I were to come with my clipper in this direction, sure, it would cut some of the hair, but it would essentially create little gaps in between it. It wouldn't be smooth. So you always want to make sure you follow the natural hair growth and cut against it in that direction. So let's recap real quick. I debulk first. Make sure to get that hair out the way first, right? I didn't panic. I knew exactly where to debulk it. I knew exactly what hair had to stay and what hair had to go. So I got that knocked out pretty quick. The next thing I did was I went ahead and created my first guideline. Once I created that first guideline, everything is easy after that. After that first guideline, all I'm basically doing is creating sections above my first line and then using a smaller guard to take out the lines that I created that section with. So for an example, now at this point, I'm going to be using a number 1 guard with the lever all the way closed. And I'm skipping the lever all the way open because at this point I understand what position the lever is going to be able to do the job for me. So if you're a beginner, of course you can create it with the lever all the way open, but in this case I'm going to be skipping a step and close it all the way. And same thing, I'm just going to be laying the clipper flat. Right now I am using the full blade to create my section, but as always, as I get by the ear, I'm going to start curving out. Notice how much I'm tilting my clipper out now though. I can almost fit my full finger right behind the ear because I really want to be able to stay consistent with that drop. In order to be able to take out the line in between the 1 and the 0, I'm going to be taking out that line with the half guard on my Low Pro FX1 clipper and close it about halfway. And now I'm only going to be using the corner to be able to dig in and completely take that line out. And if you recall, I began by debooking with the number 2. So now in order to take out the line in between the 1 and the number 2, then of course a half guard, lever about halfway open, is easily going to be able to come in and completely fade that line out for us. Something that I really love about this clipper is that it does not overheat. It's got this new blue titanium ultra thin blade that really stays cool, like literally no kind of heat on it, and I've been fading with it for a while now. All right, now that I have my rough draft set in on the fade, I went ahead and created the edge up on the C-cup. The reason I like to do the edge up before I detail is because a lot of the times whenever you detail, a lot of the areas will appear different. Meaning now that I have that edged up, I can clearly see the areas that I need to go back into and really detail. But anyways, now that we have the fade detailed and everything, it's time to start doing the top. Now on this top part, this is going to be the tricky part because even though we already deboked a lot, we still have so much hair. But the main thing that I'm really going to try to do is leave enough length to where we can still put in a bun, as I said in the beginning of the video. I still want it to go in a bun, but we have a lot of uneven hairs from us debulking. So I'm just going to go back in, section the hair piece by piece, take some weight within the hair. That way it's not poofy and it can go up in a bun a lot better. But it's going to have to be for a separate video because this is about to take some time. So I really want to be able to focus in it. So I am going to do this off camera, which by the way, again, if you do follow my TikTok, I do have a full TikTok series that shows you so many different videos on how to cut with shears on top and how to connect the top into the sides. I'll have a link to that in the description below. Now we come up with a whole different person. Like sheesh, like just looking at it from this point, you can see how flawless that fade is. And then even from the side, like the consistency within the fade is unreal. And no, we can't forget about the accent pieces. Now by the time he puts on the beads on these accent pieces, that's gonna be looking so fire. But again, I personally feel like this look is really for him. Like he kills this look. His hair is perfect for it. The fade is good for it. His head shape was perfect for this drop fade in the man bun. Not to mention that fade is looking mighty blurry, especially because I was able to stay consistent with each individual guideline and I was able to see where my guidelines were to be able to create that gradiency and fade in certain areas. I really feel like this fade looks a lot better on you, man. The main question is, what do you think about it?
I like it.
You like it? Man, that's what I'm saying, bro. Saying you just wanted to taper. Nah, we had to show him right. But anyways, you're done, bro.